Hello. Now, during my stream earlier, I actually had a pretty fun Moskva game that kind of highlights one of the issues I have with my Moskva on NA, and that's kind of the fact that it's cursed. Well, I call it cursed, but it's more the fact that I've found it to be significantly harder to carry on NA with the Moskva as compared to on EU. On my gearing on NA, I actually have very good win rates. Like, I'd say I'm probably somewhere around 80% win rate on my gearing. But the average DD player doesn't really seem to be as reliable. And that has really showed itself in my Moskva play, where I have been able to lose the most incredible games on this Moskva, games that I thought would be won, games that I thought that I did so much work, I gave my team such an advantage, but they've still been lost. So yeah, kind of cursed, I guess. I've been struggling with the Moskva. I mean, haven't been struggling with the Moskva, but I'm struggling getting wins with it, which is probably one of the main key points here. Well, the game starts fairly well off. I pop a early scouting radar, I like to call it. Basically, when my DDs are about capping a point and I'm in a position where I can see multiple caps at the same time and in general get a fairly good overview of the positions of the enemy DDs, that's when I tend to pop one. And of course I'm able to also do 5k worth of damage to a DD, which is about a fourth of his HP, as well as preventing or delaying the cap significantly. So ultimately a pretty okay radar. And we also got the information on pretty much the location of all of their DDs, so we know what's where. And my DDs know which caps they can go and fight the enemy DD because they know what they're facing. So that was mostly for information, so I don't mind it too much. I quite enjoy using those types of scouting maneuvers. Now the call was B and C, and already we're seeing a bit of worrying, like positioning from my team, where you see when the battleships tend to move kind of slow, they tend to take their time, they're not really aggressive about getting into position to like deny the enemy the cap or push into the enemy cap, but when they kind of like to sit back and avoid taking any damage and play it super safe and snipe from that long range, when you see that kind of stuff, that's when you know this is probably going to be a fairly rough game for your team, because your battleships are absolute pussies and they have no idea how to use that great armor they have. So those are always very telling signs, and I'm already seeing it. If you look at the minimap, you can see a Tirpitz and a Bismarck. They're both sailing south. Now, considering they spawned in the south and the caps are to the north, the fact that they're sailing south means that they are essentially sailing the absolute goddamn wrong way. So this already tells me that, uh-oh, this is going to be a rough one. Now, I'm the only one actually left to defend B. The rest of the team has completely abandoned the B cap, and they have no one even stopping any sort of push from A. One of the advantages, of course, of taking B on this map is that recapturing it through A to B is extremely hard if you have someone holding B, because they have to push through that very narrow choke where it's very easy to torp and just wreck anyone coming through. The problem is this team has abandoned B right away, so they're gonna have a very easy time to push into B. In fact, I'm alone here now. So I pop my radar to see just exactly what I got pushing in here, and I see Shimakaze, I see Minotaur, I see that Z52, I see a Baltimore, and even worse, there's an Iowa in there. So I pop my requesting support, because I'm gonna need some goddamn help here, because I'm basically fighting 5 different ships here. My radar is spotting them for now, but that's not gonna last long, and I need some of my team to like react and move around and do something. But looking at the H line, here we go, requesting support, but looking at the H line, you can see that, well, 3 of my battleships are kind of having their own little picnic back there. Good thing is, this Iowa is not respecting me enough. One of the key points I always talk about in cruisers is never ever give broadside, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm keeping an aggressive angle. In this case, I even bring my back turrets into it, because I know I need to kill this guy ASAP before this Minotaur shows up. Minotaur shows up, I instantly turn my guns against him. Even the threat of me shooting him will force him to smoke up. Yeah, he instantly smokes up and fades away. I'm okay with that, because I need to deal with that Iowa first. If I keep angled the Minotaur while doing DPM, he's not really gonna deal that much damage. So I keep punishing this Iowa with citadels, keep wrecking him and melting him through this damage, and he ultimately goes down. So I still have the Shimakaze and well, actually two Shimakazes on my right, which are a constant threat, so I can't reverse too far out. In fact, I'm kind of stuck in this position, and I got a Baltimore and and a Minotaur in front of me. Now I keep angled to minimize the damage both of them deal. And the Baltimore at this point kind of chickened out with the pushing. Now of course comes another problem. Apparently the Bismarcks are able to shoot at me. And the issue here is, you see, look at my battleships. My battleships are playing so incredibly passive and so far back that the enemy battleships don't even have to shoot at them. They don't even have to focus at them. They can just pick whatever targets they want, and they're even shooting at me over here. And I'm already got my hands full fighting all of this. So this incredible passivity from my own team is forcing me to push up here, because I can no longer remain here because I'm being shot in the side by a Bismarck, and it was a lot of luck that I didn't get Citadel there. I do manage to finish off the Baltimore, so I pop my radar to see the Minotaur. Unfortunately, he still had some torps left, he hadn't launched all of them, and I am sadly gonna eat one on the nose. He's also reversing far enough that he finally gets enough angles to shoot me. Now, you'd think that this would be a one game. I mean, we have a 2-ship advantage, we still got 3 DDs alive. I've wrecked so many. I did 172k damage, and I got high caliber in less than 7 minutes. But as I said, I've been having some issues getting these wins on NA, and the game ends later on. I actually left to the port, but when I came back, I checked the score, and it's a defeat. 560k credits, nice chunk of XP, 173k damage, and 23 citadels, and team score. I was the top scorer from the team, but the team completely unable to clinch it. And two of the survivors on my team in this lost game were actually 2 battleships. They only have 1 ship left, but these battleships obviously played so incredibly passive that this one Shimakaze on the enemy team managed to win it for them. So these camping battleships ultimately became, of course, not surprisingly, the demise of my team. And looking at the detailed report, you can see time spent in battles, 6 minutes 48 seconds, and of course damage dealt, an absolutely absurd amount of AP damage, 53 AP shots or hits, and 164k damage. And I still potential damage, which is of course damage shells shot at me, 1.7 million. Considering how short of a time I was actually alive in this game, that's a pretty insane amount of contribution to the game. But sadly, couldn't quite clinch the win, but I thought this game truly showed off just how insanely potent and insanely strong the Moskva 220mm AP is, if you get the opportunity to properly use it. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys probably very soon, since tomorrow the patch is going to be out on NA, and I will no doubt be taking a look at what the patch brings. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.